Hey guys, thanks for joining me on another episode of Cartels Unearthed. It is June 14th, which means World Cup time. It has started. Super excited. I hope you guys are too. I'm American technically in a sense, and I was born here in the U.S., but I can't really trust the American soccer team for anything. Jesus. So, vamos mi tricolor. Let's go Colombia. You got this. Got really close last time, but we can't make it close. We got to get all the way. So, vamos Colombia. I guess good luck in general to all the teams, but I'm being biased here. So let's go Colombia. If you don't root for a soccer team, well then just put all your rooting into Colombia. Why won't you? Please. Anyway, very cool. So thanks for joining me on another episode of Cartels Unearthed, guys. Today, I'm going to give you 5 facts about Netflix Narcos that you guys probably think are true, and in reality, they are fake or false. Unfortunately, these shows like Narcos and so many others that involve historical information or historical events tend to blur the lines between the information that they give you and the real information that's behind that story. In the defense of Narcos and Netflix and a lot of these shows and movies in general, they always have a disclaimer that says a lot of these stories, situations, and characters are fictionalized for entertainment purposes. Nonetheless, I talk to people, I meet people, and there's nothing better than me running into somebody or talking to somebody and they tell me that they know everything there is to know about the Medellin cartel, about Narcos, about my family, about Pablo, because they watched all of the seasons of Narcos and they read a book and watched a documentary. No. You can't say that. Narcos is full of fictional information. It's on the disclaimer when you watch an episode. So you can't say you know everything about this particular topic by watching Narcos or watching a movie or reading a book. That means you know something about the topic, but you don't know it all. Hell, I don't even know it all. I'm learning every single day. I learn something new. So, in that sense, I'm going to share with you guys 5 things that you guys probably didn't know that in Narcos they either exaggerate the truth, are fictionalized, or just makes no damn sense. So, here we go. Number 1, Las Margaritas. We all have seen this scene. It's in season 1. They get together to discuss the kidnapping of Marta Ochoa. And they all get together in what is supposed to be a hotel called Las Margaritas in Medellin. That's part real and part fake. That's where history and the show blur the lines. So, in real life, the Narcos did get together, and they did get together in a place called Las Margaritas to discuss the kidnapping of Marta Ochoa and to start death to the kidnappers, muerte a los secuestradores, or más. But that place called Las Margaritas isn't a hotel. It's, in fact, the restaurant that my family, the Ochoas, used to own in Medellin. It was a restaurant that you would go, sit down, have dinner, and watch shows, horse shows. They would put on shows with horses. You know anything about my family, you know they've always been in the horse business. So, it was technically a restaurant, not a hotel. In the scene in Narcos, they filmed that particular scene is filmed at the Intercontinental Medellin, and what they did was they covered the name outside of the hotel that said Intercontinental, and they put Las Margaritas. So yes, it was at a place called Las Margaritas in Medellin. Yes, they all gathered together to talk about those particular topics, but no, it wasn't at a hotel. Las Margaritas is known to be a family restaurant of ours. That is where they gathered, and it existed until 2010 in Medellin. Okay, so blurred lines there in history. Part true, but they fictionalized a little bit. Number 2, La Kika. Now, we all know who La Kika is, Dandeni Munoz. He's said to be one of the top sicarios in the Medellin cartel for Pablo Escobar. But if we watch towards the end of season 2, La Kika is still around, sticking it out with Pablo until almost the very end. We all know what happens. He realizes that this is all about to end, so he goes with the accountants that Pablo sent to pick up money, kills them, takes the money and runs for it, but then the DEA and the police arrest him. And that's when he tries to trap Pablo into making a deal. That never happened. It's impossible, first of all, for La Kika to even be there. When this was happening in the scene, Pablo was days away from getting killed. This would be December 1993. Pablo gets killed December 3rd, 1993. Early December of 1993. So it's impossible for La Kika to be there. Why? Because La Kika was arrested in New York in September of 1991. So technically, his run in the show should have ended right around the same time Pablo went to La Catedral, because Pablo went into La Catedral in June of 1991. So if you follow everything right, you would know, and if you saw the time, well, Narcos screws up the timeline in general, and I'll do another video for that, but La Kika shouldn't be there towards the end. He should have been long gone. He's already in jail in the United States, so there's no reason for him to be almost towards the end of season 2 with Limon and all these other guys. It's just not possible. It's impossible. It's historically inaccurate. Okay, number 3. This one I think a lot of you guys know. Virginia Vallejo, Pablo's lover, Pablo's mistress. We all know her in the show as Valeria. That's how she's portrayed. So in one of the episodes, after Pablo sends Valeria, who's the reporter, to bring a briefcase with a radio and money to Pablo's wife, who's in this hotel in Bogota, she apparently gets murdered outside the hotel, right? They pull out the eyes of her crew, and they write, the whore of Pablo on the side of the van. Never happened. You guys have watched the previous videos. A couple of them I did. Virginia Vallejo is much alive and well. She lives in Miami. She's written a couple of books. She has a movie coming out. Well, not her. They took her book and made it into a movie. It's called Loving Pablo. It stars Penelope Cruz and Javier Bardem. And even I've spoken to her. So she is not dead. Part true, the history of her. Part not true, she does not get murdered. So, again, back to square one, fictionalized for entertainment purposes. Number 4, the extradition treaty. In the show, they talk about how it's such a great victory that the president has finally agreed to sign an extradition treaty. This is going to be used as a big weapon against the Narcos. It's going to be something that the Narcos are afraid of. And they pretty much use it to their advantage. The DEA, the Javier Peña, and Steve Murphy, they really talk about how important it is. They make a point of saying, they show the documents signed. Well, there really was no point in talking about that, because technically, historically wise, Colombia and the United States had a treaty of extradition since 1978. So there was no need for that whole spiel, that whole story of, oh, we need the extradition treaty to be signed. Now, yes, eventually later on, when Pablo turns himself in, Congress had abolished that, so they overturned it. But that was about 1991. But somewhere in the show, when it's supposed to be like the mid-'80s, when they kill the Minister of Justice, supposedly the treaty was just recently signed in that particular scene, and that's not true. It had been signed since 1978 by then President Julio César Turbay, which is actually portrayed in the show as the ex-president of Colombia, whose daughter gets kidnapped by Pablo Escobar. She's the reporter who gets killed by accident as they're trying to rescue her. So that's kind of like an exaggerated truth. They didn't need to talk about it. There was no point for it. And number 5. There is an episode, I believe it's in season 1, where they show the M19 in the jungle plotting to kidnap somebody, a family member from one of the narco families. They're talking about the Ochoas, they're talking about Pablo Escobar, they're talking about Gonzalo Gacha. And they're trying to figure out who they're going to kidnap, and they're using a magazine from Forbes as a reference, because according to the show at that moment, the magazine was out and it had listed the richest men in the world, richest people in the world. And so they determined that they're going to kidnap the Ochoa sister. What's faulty about that is that the Ochoas, my cousin Marta Ochoa, was kidnapped in November of 1981. And the Forbes magazine Richest People in the World issue didn't come out until June of 1987, if I'm not mistaken. So technically the M19 can't be in the jungle trying to figure out who they're going to kidnap using this magazine when it hasn't even come out. It doesn't even come out for another 6 years. So and even in another scene in the show, they bring up the Forbes magazine again, even though in that particular scene it should be 1984, and again, the magazine didn't come out until 1987. So, both pieces true. They did kidnap Marta Ochoa. It was the M19. There was a Forbes magazine, but Forbes magazine was in 1987, and Marta Ochoa was in 1981. So, there you go, guys. 5 pieces of history and facts that are true in a sense and did happen, and they did get portrayed in the show, but they blur the lines with how it actually went down and how they made it go down for entertainment purposes. So hope you guys liked the video. I have more coming up, so thanks for joining, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.